Alright, hey everybody, today I am going to show how to use a portrait palette. We're just going to do it on this Copley painting. I think it's a wonderful little portrait, and it's good to just test out. Again, you don't want to get wrapped up too much in the theory. You always want to put it to practice. So I'm going to do like just a general kind of postery study of this. I added burn umber to my palette. I love burn umber. It's such a great drawing medium or color because it's an iron oxide, dries pretty fast. If you need to loosen it up, you grab a tiny bit of mineral spirit, and it goes on kind of more like a wash. So I'm going to just draw here for a minute just to set up the painting. I'm not going to put in eyeballs and eyelashes and all that stuff. It's not what the hope here is. It's just to do a quick version of the painting where you're just taking and testing out the data. The cool thing about Copley is that he cooled his colors. You can tell a lot. So let me just get the drawing in here. Looks like I started to mess it up a little bit. Just reel it in. That's the beautiful thing about burnt umber. To me, you can grab it and grab a little mineral spirits and push it up if you want to. You can really learning how to draw and paint, fix with the brush is a skill set that I highly recommend everybody work on because it's just going to come in handy so that you're not at the whim of tracing, and you don't always have to transfer. I think transfer method's fine, but I also think it's liberating to not have to worry about any of that stuff. And if you look at art through history, the ones that I admire the most definitely weren't doing any of that. The direct method, which again I find totally fine, indirect, and they worked a bit more direct. So I'm just going to set this up. Again, that's about how detailed I'm going to get. You can see just a little bit of mineral spirits here is just going to pop that in a little bit. My mineral spirits is a little dirty, so it is what it is. But again, this is just the first pass of data, and now I'm going to kind of reel the painting in. But again, at the end of the day, it's not a true copy. It's a sketch. It's just a testing of the material on just a little painting. All right, so you want to be able to kind of see this stuff. Same thing I say to my heads and hands class for college because I teach that. Look across the form. Doesn't mean to put some grid on it. If you're putting grids on things, that means you should be able to do it without it. But that's what I recommend, to be gridless and to be a balanced artist. But no need to get too much into all that. You can take some measurements if you want to. Again, the hope here is to take the data and then take it for a test drive, as I always say, and see what you think of it. See where it's useful. See where it could benefit you in a painting. And you may like it, you may hate it. Some people find it that they need control. Some people want no control of the painting and they want to reel it in. And you just have to find really what it is your temperament of how you like to paint. So I cannot tell anyone what that is. That's, again, something that you must dig into. Think about. All right. Bring the chin over. If you know a lot about anatomy and stuff, you can. There you go. All right. We're going to just turn it into a bit of a wash, just so we get a little bit more. Then I'm going to get just a little background in. we have a bit more of the contrast. If you don't put the contrast in, which a lot of people, I was trained to kind of just render the crap out of forms. And if you don't think of the picture the whole time, it'll show in the work, because it'll just look like you were happy painting and modeling or rendering something. And then you just didn't think about the rest of it. Again, common one's after the picture, and that's really where you can get away from having to put all details and stuff like that in a painting. And the other one is after the illusion of depth. So anyway, it's up to you. I know I'm not going to be able to get the red, so I may end up pulling in a little more color, and we can just pull into like one color, which I probably will, just to see if I can nail it, get it closer. But all right, just deepening that now that I have a bit more of the information down. I'm not going to like pull from printout over. It's not what I do. It's not what I recommend. Again, you'll develop a skill set that you can't use unless you paint from monitors. Then you can't do it from life, and you end up being just a studio artist. Perhaps that's what you want, and if that's what you want to do, then do it. It's not what we were ever taught. We don't ever paint from monitors. You can do it after. You can do it like in your studio if you want to. But again, all the skills that you will need are in the study, in the ability to do just what I did. And that's sketching it really quickly. All right, let's take a look here. Let's get a little color in here. Titanium white. If you really wanted to, you could get into the flake white, which would be a bit more gentle. But I would imagine most people do not have that. There we go. That's transparent red earth, or red oxide, or they're all PR101. Michael Harding's is nearly identical to Gamblin's. Whichever that you have, use. Don't go out and buy another one. It's not the materials that are gonna, make this. Like if you have one shade off, it's not going to particularly matter. So if we look at the color of the forehead, we can just put generalize. Get that in. And what we do is we now see that the color is a little bit muted. It moves towards a lower chroma, right? So I'm going to just get that in quickly. And again, this is just a very general. Don't get too much in the weeds of putting eyeballs in. And I stress that. I see it all the time where students get a little excited. You don't have to show me any of that stuff. I'd rather see you get the general. This is really the setup for like a good painting is right here in this kind of, can you neutralize form? Can you get a, can we take this and there we go, just a little red in the cheek, right? And it already feels pretty good here. So that's what I want to see. I want to see in a very general way if you can get the relationships or the fall of light. It's really what poster studies are about. Titanium white. All right, and then you can see just shifting of hues as it gets towards like the nostril. And you can generalize that. Think of the break of the plane here. So I go off I don't go and mix strings. If you want to, go for it. It never. I think I did it once, and I was like, I get it. It's just a way of thinking of progressions, So that's the big fall off of the light. And it's in a very general way. So I can, begin to kind of reel it in from here, and I will. All right, so I'm going to just get a little bit more here. In titanium white, I'm going to just pull a little in the ivory black. It's going to get me a nice cool, and you can see that that's, I think, what this is. So again, think of shape like there's just a shape right there. Keep it simple. No need to go crazy. Soften the edge. I'm just painting the two together to soften. It's still there. All right, now I'm going to go back down into dark. Grab a little burn umber. If it's on the palette, why not use it? Burn umber is good because it neutralizes. I got a blue on there too, just in case. I got ultra. So just kind of a random mixture, just to see. Nice warm there. Test some mixtures out. It's a perfect place to try things. What happens if I make it too light? What if I tip it towards orange? Try it out. Like perfect, like very low stakes, everything at this point. If this is terrible, I'll throw it in the garbage. That's what I will do. Or I'll paint over it. I'll just wipe it down at the end, which you're more than welcome to. That's a good practice because it'll allow you to let go. Here we go. Here's a soft edge right there. The socket is never, I see it so much, it's never just a hard edge. It's very soft. It's a brow ridge that rolls under. And then the glabella, not that we need to get into too much of any of the terminology here, but right there. Right. Again, just going to get back the shape right there. So anyway, I'm going to just show a quick little study here. I recommend you do one. Take the palette for a test drive, as I always say. I'm not going to tell you how many strokes to do. I'm not going to tell you how abstract it needs to be. That's for you to work through, If your inclination is to put more detail in, put less in. What does it even mean? If it hurts, then you're on the right path. That means that you're trying to work through something. Especially if you know you should do it and you're just inclined not to. There we go. Feels a little bit more on the burn umber warm side. If I want to warm it up, I can grab a little of the... Again, there's a bit more variables than last time in our last, like the Zorny Pellies palette. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's a head in space is what it feels like. Push that back. Again, fantastic little practice, I think, just to be able to do this and get it at a very general stage. Right? That's maybe cool it down now. Shorten the variables. What is the hue that I see? Maybe it tips towards greenish. Try it out. Right? Interesting. Maybe it feels like a little on the red side over here. Right? So I encourage you. You can even go off script and give it a shot. Like, the stakes are so low here in this painting. It's just a test. A collection of data. Right? I mean, that's how I view it. And then you study that, oh, he's putting a little red in there. Just right around there, there's a tiny bit of red. So fascinating. And I think obviously this looks like an unfinished portrait, which I just absolutely love unfinished work. There's so much to study in the way in which the artist kind of is working. All right, and then now this needs to get darker. Clean my brush, get back into here. I'm going to just deepen that. All right, so to get a little bit more of the relationships here, I'm going to grab yellow ochre. One of the reasons I put ultra on here, I'm going to get just that greeny color. I'm going to take a little mineral spirits, just loosen it up. I'm going to just come in over here and just add it. Now, felt a little bit too chromatic. I'm going to just take this. Right, so I can go back to black and look for maybe a touch, a note, just drawing. So here's a thing I used to think about. I used to watch Travis or Max paint. And if what I just did inspires you, like you want to be able to do it this quickly or something, do it until you can do it. And what I used to do is I used to take and do copies of their work in my spare time. I didn't post it online. I didn't say after. It was just to understand it. So I encourage you, if somehow one of the marks that I did, or the ability to nail it in a short time or something, whatever it is that, if I'm inspiring you, go do it until you can do it, and don't put a time limit on it. That's what I would do. That's what I used to do. All right, so let's pull a little of that green in here. Actually, feels a little green towards the back. And that feels like a head in space, you know, in a very abstract way. Again, I can't get the red. Not that I even particularly care at this point. But I can't get the red, and it's something I don't need to obsess over. I'm going to just think about it. Tiny bit of the Venetian. Venetian gets nice and cool when it gets feels cool. Once it is gets light. Just bring those together. Get rid of the desire to put in a edge of a nose. Spackle on like a white for the highlight. Right. Go back down here into the cool. Let's get this a little cooler. Play up the cool. I mean, again, what if you make it too cool? You have to get past the fact that every time you do something, you got to show somebody what you did or brag about it, you know? I think that's going to get in your way if that's the only reason why we create is for an audience. You have to do it for you, and there has to be a study and application. Again, just my 2 cents on that. It's not another piece of content. We're content-driven. Like, that's where Instagram and all that stuff has pushed us now. Like, that's what people just share stuff online. There you go. So just broadly put it on. I'm not going to get obsessed with too much. Maybe that's even too much of data. Let's see. If it gets in the way, get rid of it. How much data do you need to put in? It's up to you. All right. If you find yourself obsessed with too much detail, get a big brush and work with a big brush. It'll force you not to use detail. You know. And then don't reach for the small one. Let it be in its Let it feel uncomfortable. I'm telling you, on the other side of that's probably where you need to, where you want to head. Red, right? Is that too much? I don't know. Maybe it is. Who knows? I'm going to leave it for now. But it's not like I put stuff down and don't have a discussion in my head about it. That's really what all painters do. Like, is that helping or hurting that thing I just added? And then you make a decision where you want it to be. It's not so much like a paint by number. Everybody has the same painting. Paint in a studio with other artists, and you'll understand that everyone's just going to have a bunch of different ways to interpret, or the skill set that they have to be able to articulate. Um, you know, feels like maybe a tiny bit too cool now, and now just bringing a little bit more life in here. It's too dark. Let's go a little bit on the lighter side. Bring it in the light. If that's too much, grab a palette knife, scrape it down. Helps unify it. Get back in. I always say this is your playground. It's your place to try things out. Alright, seems like a little coolness under there. Leave it as cool. Maybe that's a little bit too much in the weeds. I don't know. Maybe not. Leave it. Anyway, it looks like a face, right? That's really what the essence, even of a poster study, is. So you can interpret all of this data any way that you want to, and in your studio, you will do whatever you want. And you can. Not that anyone ever needs my permission on anything. Just here to offer my perspective on it. Right. The black. Maybe at times there's more detail than I'm saying to put in. Maybe not. Battle it out. Work it out in your studio. Don't get caught just in theory. If you wanted to, you could add like an alizarin or something, but again, don't get caught up. Don't try to impress me, I would say. This is it. This is for you. It's for no one else. It's for us to work together and see if you can do the exercise. Extract from the exercise. Yellow ochre in there, maybe. Give it a shot. Maybe that's too chromatic. I don't know. Feels like it cools. Right. Doesn't feel unified. Let me just bring that together over there. Even if you ended it there, I'd be like, yeah, it's worth it. Worth it to try. This is the lightest part of the painting. And you know he did it with flake. They didn't have titanium around in his time. Maybe you like titanium, maybe you don't. Maybe you like flake, maybe you don't. To take it and interpret all of this stuff any way you want. We go red. Look at that. Looks like red in there. That's actually probably Venetian red. Then there's just a cool. It's tough because sometimes we see cool and we go, oh, cool. And then we realize, oh, that's too cool. That's toward cool. And then we realize that we have to kind of move through kind of color space. Right, so, I don't know. It's not like it's the best little painting in the world. But it's got the essence of everything you need in a painting. And the trick now would be to hold on to it. I shouldn't say the trick. That's the goal. Right? The forehead's too dark. Doesn't particularly matter. Again, did you drive anything from it? I'd say yeah. I'd say, the form's pushed a little bit more than his. Let me get a little blue in there. Form is pushed a little bit more than his. Again, don't get caught up. If you want to time yourself, timing yourself will force you to just see what you can do in a limited time without having all the time in the world to finesse or get things perfect. Perfection, I think, sometimes gets in people's ways. Although I think it's also good to push for that. So you have to find out what is working in your favor and what is not. And if perfection is not helping you, then time yourself. Give yourself time limits and just allow it to be what it is. There's an honesty in that, just like what you can get in a short amount of time versus a long amount of time. There could be a message hidden in the short time, and maybe that's where you're trying to head, and maybe your skills just aren't there yet to be able to do it. All right, so that's kind of to finish the hair up. Paint it together. It's one of the things I always recommend. So you don't just form paint things. Consider the values of them together like that. Kind of gone. Or similar in value. I don't have to get the drawing perfect. Should be freedom if I say don't get the drawing perfect. I'd like to see a wonky drawing here. That means you're really, it's not that you have to have a wonky drawing. It's just that it allows you to capture the light and not worry. Tetsuo Jacob said that a lot in his teaching. Don't give me a little painting, All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Cool it just at the top there. All right, so just pull it all together here. That maybe. See if the green or blue helps it. Grab some black. There you go. A little bit more contrast in areas, of course. Not all that big of a deal. There's definitely some red in here, and seeing these colors, I'd say that's alizarin. So let me grab tiny alizarin. Alizarin would definitely be a color I would add to the palette if it's a portrait palette, because not that you want to get into it too much, but when you get into the crevices of eyes and stuff like that, it's just a wonderful color. It's like, I think, the perfect color. I shouldn't say the perfect. There's no such thing as a formula. Stay away from formulas. You know, if you find, oh, this portrait palette works, it's like, this portrait palette works sometimes. And there's much more nuance. And if you just get into, oh, I got it, and just he showed me the portrait palette, you stop looking. And the point is to be aware in the whole process of all of this. Not to boil it down to some formula. Formula is just, it boils it down to like a coloring book kind of idea. You know? And the point of this really is to be active in the pursuit in all that you're doing. Wet into wet there. Kind of nice, right? Get the little white in there. To be active in the pursuit of all of this. Maybe this is annoying. I don't know. Sometimes like you watch the video and you see something off right away that I don't quite see because I'm scanning the picture the whole time. All right, take alizarin permanent. Just see what I can get. If I need a red, I can grab a little of Venetian. I want to lower the chroma a little bit. Let's just get this over here. And then nice deep. It's fascinating for me to take and kind of study different palettes. You know, and I encourage you all to do the same. There's many variables to all of it. You know? I mean, that would be a good place to stop. Maybe I should. Little mineral spirits, loosening up. You can see from the marks here, he's doing something like that. That's why this has nothing to do with color picking or swatching or anything like that. This is somebody finding it loosely like that. That's what it is. And just saying, is that the color I want? If not, then they're tipping it. They're just like, all right, maybe a little lightness over here. You know? That's why if you study the methodology of these artists, there's a lot to be said. Get a little yellow in there, maybe a little ultra. Maybe you want to tip it a little bit more towards blue. I don't know. Nothing wrong with that. Give it a shot. Push it more. With that. Ooh, that deepens it. Maybe a little bit more like what he did. Maybe on the other side there's a shift. Right? All right, that's a good place to stop. I mean, I could go on all day and, you know, like I said, do about 30 minutes. I think that's enough to take it for a test drive and see what you think.